Psych, it's noon. Gotcha. I hope you're ready for just a comfy, cozy, chill video because that's what I'm gonna do. I honestly just haven't really been feeling that creative this week. So I just wanted to do a sit down, chatty kind of video in my new room because it's comfy in here. Although it kind of also feels like the devil's armpit. If you're lucky, you may see a magic trick. Watch all of my curls disappear. What I'm gonna do is start sewing either 1 or 2 items of clothing out of this Hobbit-y fabric that I've had for a while and just haven't really done anything with. I wanna make some cute things. And normally, if I were treating this like a get ready with me, I would talk about life and talk about things. But honestly, there's nothing to talk about. So I asked you guys on Instagram for some questions. So kind of like a answer questions while I sew video, which is not quite as catchy as get ready with me. AQIS. So I've got my coffee, apple cider donut. No, I have no donut. So let me show you the patterns first. So I think what I'm gonna do, which you should know was inevitable once I learned to sew, we are gonna make a Hobbit-y vest.
Oh yes.
It will be mine. And then another vintagey order by mail pattern. This one belonged to Norma. So we've got Edna's pattern and now I've got Norma's pattern. And don't worry, I won't draw on this one with Sharpie. You guys were mad at me. I'm assuming this doesn't have any, it doesn't have any markings on it. Norma! So this one is another sundress. It comes with like a little jacket, but I'm not gonna make the jacket, so I'm just gonna make this little dress in the corner here. What? And I love making sundresses like this because number one, they can work as a dress, but they can also work as a pinafore, shirts underneath them. And then I can also use it as a top because I can put a skirt over the skirt portion of the dress. Very multi-purpose, which is why I am addicted to making these. So those are the 2 patterns. And then the fabric. I don't know which one I'm gonna use for which. I think this one will probably be for the vest because there's less of it. And then this one for the dress. What do you think? I feel like Dora the Explorer. Which fabric should I pick? This one for the vest, which is very, very cute, has little flowers on it. This one for the dress, nature-y print on it. I picked these up at a local antique store. There's a booth there that the person usually sells like vintage fabrics, so I can't wait to go back and get more. My fabric stash is whittling down. It's not quite as vast as I thought it was. Like I said, while I do this, I will be answering some questions because I got nothing else to talk about. I think I'm gonna do the vest first. I'm gonna raise you up so you can stand on mountain. So I actually already cut these fabric pieces out. The corset that I want to do is only 4 pieces. The front, the side, the back, and the continuous bias. Those pieces put onto the fabric somehow. Continuous bias, which is also describing my love for the 2005 Pride and Prejudice. I know one question that I got when I looked really briefly was what my Hogwarts house is. That is Ravenclaw, although I think I'm very also strongly Hufflepuff. I don't know what you would call that. A Ravenpuff? Huffleclaw? Which is fine with me because honestly, Ravenpuff sounds like a spooky breakfast cereal. Okay, so there's the continuous bias. The proper way to fold up patterns, obviously. Hair elastic's coming out. 'Cause I'm sweaty. A lot of people are asking what show I'm watching right now. For a while, me and Nick were rewatching Psych. Nice, feel-good show. Highly recommend. So now, we're just kind of bouncing in between tiny house shows because I find those super satisfying. I never want to live in a tiny house. Because this house is the right amount of tiny for me, but it's good inspiration for, hold on, wow, I really can't do 2 things at one time. For camper, which we should hopefully be owning in a few weeks. They have some really good storage tips and things that serve multi-purposes and not wasting any space and that kind of stuff. Oh my god. Why? Why do you do this? Out. Come on. You don't want no out of here with those eye holes. That's not up. That's the opposite of up. Alright, let's get down to business here. Someone asked what video games I'm currently playing, and that is Uncharted 4, which is my all-time favorite game in the entire universe. So I am replaying it. Currently, it just feels like there isn't a lot of games coming out on the horizon. I know Last of Us 2 is coming out, but right now I don't really have anything to play, and I already replayed The Witcher 3, so I don't know. I needed a game that was good for like escapism, full of details that I could just take forever to play. So that game for me is Uncharted 4 because it is beautiful and piratey and just everything. My favorite thing about video games, everything you look at, someone designed and someone made. So I've been having a lot of fun just trying to see all the tiny little details that maybe often go overlooked and stopping every 7 seconds to take a photo in photo mode. If I was that guy who makes those cardboard signs, mine would say, good photo mode for every video game. Another question I got a couple of times is people asking what my kind of dream cosplay is and or character that I would love to cosplay but just haven't gotten around to it yet. On my cosplay dream list has always been Kirsten Dunst in Sofia Coppola's Marie Antoinette. Still very, very high up there, and I think maybe that's my number one just because it's so involved and I would love to make one of her beautiful pastel gowns. Another one would be Elizabeth Swann, Pirates of the Caribbean. Basically any Kira character. Like I would also love to be Elizabeth Bennet. Actually, that brown dress that she wears in Pride and Prejudice is on my dream dress to make, and I will probably actually do that soon because I bought fabric for that last year, but I never got around to making it. Not historically accurate, but who gives a fluff? It's pretty. What else you got, internet? So another question I got asked a lot was how I got started in sewing, which is kind of funny to me because I'm still very much a beginner and I don't really consider myself anyone to really be giving advice. My tip, I guess, for that would just be to go for it, man. That's kind of how I started learning and how I taught myself. No one really ever taught me how to do it. I think when you get into cosplay, it's sort of a requirement. I mean, depending on the costume that you choose, but it's a good skill to learn when you're starting to get into cosplay, and that's what made me take that plunge. I think the first thing I ever sewed Astrid and Hiccup costumes that I did for me and Nick, and that was like in my tiny apartment. I didn't have a machine. I was just doing it by hand and it sucked. And then eventually, I think the first actual like piece of clothing I made was Arwen's dress. First full dress. This isn't very good use of space. Hold please. Turns out I can't talk and pin patterns at the same time, so just give me a second here. I totally understand being intimidated and being overwhelmed because that is me every single time I do a sewing project, but you just kind of gotta do it, man. Look up things as you get stuck. You'd be surprised how much problem solving you get done and how much you learn from that problem solving. The wise words of Shia LaBeouf, just do it. That's my advice. Just do it. Because you know what? If you just keep staying away from sewing because you're intimidated, then you'll never sew anything. Choose an item you want to make, pattern, maybe some cheap fabric to begin with, so if you mess up, it's not a big deal. Just do it. Okay, so I've got everything pinned out on the outer fabric. It says I also have to do basically the same thing for the lining, but I think I'll go check my stash and see if I have just like a brown fabric that I can use for the lining instead, but if not, I'm totally fine with just using this as the lining. So let's cut these babies out. Someone asked if I'll ever be making myself a proper sewing room. What do you mean? This ain't doing it for you. Before all this happened, I was actually looking into renting studio space at like an artist studio. We'll see, maybe when this is all over, I will go back to that idea. If you could live in any movie of your choice, what would it be? That's a good question. Probably Lord of the Rings. And not just because I'm making some Hobbit clothes. I think Lord of the Rings would be a good one because there's so many different parts of Middle-earth that no matter what species I was, whether it was an elf or a hobbit, I think there are some really beautiful places to explore and to live. I would say Harry Potter, but Harry Potter is so similar to our universe. Hogwarts is great, but also I don't really want to go to school. So I would like to visit Hogwarts. Would I want to study for tests and be stressed and have homework? No. I'm gonna fast forward for you and I'm gonna go ahead and either cut the lining out of this or find a brown fabric to cut the lining out of. And then I will be back. And also probably very sweaty. Something to look forward to. Outer pieces and the lining all cut out. I don't have interfacing. I don't need it to be super stiff. Basically just attach all the pieces and then attach all the lining. Before I do that, let's answer a couple questions. I have no idea if this format is actually working or if it's just disruptive. If you could be a kitchen utensil, what would you be and why? A wooden spoon, because they're very versatile. They look cool, rustic. You can put it on the top of whatever you're boiling to stop it from overflowing. Cosplay to Win asked, what's your favorite and least favorite type of comment or feedback you get on your content? I think anytime someone says that my content has helped them in any way or has inspired them, during this time especially, has just been kind of getting them through and helping a lot. I think that's my favorite, is knowing that as a lowly YouTuber, I can make even a little bit of a difference. I know in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge impact on the world, but I think all I really want to do is make a difference on an individual level. I think as far as my not so favorite kind of feedback, I don't know. I guess condescending comments are kind of what irks me. Growing up, I really hated to be treated like I was dumb or like I was a kid, being talked down to, and I think with YouTube, unfortunately, that can happen a lot. You know, it's not blatant hate, it's not haters or anything, it's just people, you know, oh, sweetie, oh, honey, oh, you sweet summer sunflower seed. I think there's a way to give constructive criticism without sounding like I am an actual 4-year-old that you're talking to. I'm kind of getting used to it because I think that goes along with the territory of having a YouTube channel where you make stuff, is that people are always going to have an opinion on how you can make it better. And obviously I'm not perfect and there are tons of flaws in the stuff I make, so those comments are gonna, you know, they're gonna be there no matter what I do. So, but yeah, I think just being talked down to is not just so fun for me. Virgo Go Girl says, Mr. Collins tells you he thinks you'll make an agreeable match. Quick, what do you say/do? Oh, good question. I would probably do a swift turtle face and back out of the conversation. Demonstrated like this. Let's get to attaching these babies. Why do I have a pen? Alright, update time. So, attach the lining pieces to outer fabric. Sew those together. It's really cute. And it's like nice and thick. And then I just got done cutting out the bias, folding it over, and pressing. So now I have this super long piece of binding. Couple more questions. Which countries I want to visit in the future? In September, we had rebooked our Iceland trip, so I'm very excited for that. I'm not 100% positive that's gonna happen, was hoping that I'd be able to go back to Paris this year. Obviously that's not happening. The first time we went there, it was on sort of like a group trip, like a college group. We only got about 3 days there, and 2.5 of those days was very scheduled, and we were with the group. I would really, really like to go back and spend more time there, first of all, and then second of all, do our own thing, and that's that. Am I doing this right? Chasing Nostalgia asked, what's the story behind adopting Frodo? Our little man. We adopted Frodo in 2014, I believe. And so I was working as an editor in the city. I had an apartment for a little while, for like a few months. It was our goal to eventually get a puppy when we got an apartment, because we finally could and all that good stuff. In a browsing pet finder, we came across Frodo, and his name at the time was Major. Because we both worked in the city, I was a little nervous about getting a puppy and not being able to spend that much time with the puppy and getting him trained, and then he called me when I was on my lunch break one day, and he was like, what would you say to adopting Major? I was kind of like, he goes, good, because this weekend we're going to pick him up. Got everything we needed for the little man, and then we went and drove a couple hours to the spot where they were bringing the truck up from Mississippi, I think. We met him and he was very confused. Immediately fell in love with him, and he immediately pooped and peed in our car.
Ah, peeing!
The rest is history. I am going to work on this binding because I've messed up like 3 times. So I will check in once that is done.
A few moments later.
Alright, so the vest is pretty much done. So to finish this up, I do need to do the eyelets. So what I'm gonna do is bust open the other pattern and then lay the pattern pieces on the dress fabric, pin, and cut. That'll be my stopping point for the day because I'm tired. Tiny change of plans. I think what I'm gonna do is use the top portion of this pattern for the top of the dress. But I'm looking at the skirt and it looks like it's just the more like rectangular way of making a skirt, where you kind of just make a giant rectangle and then gather at the top. And while yes, that does look pretty a lot of the times, I really want this skirt to look really full and really swooshy. I am going to mishmash. So instead of this skirt, I'm going to use skirt that I used for the book dress, because number one, it was super easy. It was like 2 pieces. And then number 2, it's a nice full circle skirt. Good morning. Last night I went in and did a little bit more work so that I wouldn't have to be spending the majority of the day finishing it. The actual bodice section, booby darts. And I had to make a lining to go with that, make it a little bit more sturdy, because I like when dresses have a few different layers to them. I have the skirt pinned and ready to be sewn, and then I have the straps which need to be sewn and then turn inside out. I think I'm gonna do a side zipper, even though whoop, side zippers are the devil. I still have some questions here. Didn't feel like actually getting dressed this morning because I had a lot of work to do, so toga time. Sophie Mintz asked 5 little joys / small things you cherish most in everyday life. Big component, especially right now, making yourself look forward to certain things, even if those are small or trivial to some people. food. Looking forward to making a nice dinner at night, something I've never made before. That's 1. 2, obviously, Nick, Frodo, and Binks. They are my little family, so spending time with them has been meaning a lot to me lately. Nature, I know that sounds kind of lame, but like as it's getting to be warmer out and all the leaves are finally out and I can come in here and listen to the birds, and it's just so nice. 4, video games. 5, the internet. Again, that sounds kind of lame, but also especially now, I think staying connected to your friends and your family is really important, and obviously without the internet, we wouldn't be able to do that. So that is a very important factor, especially right now. That probably wasn't as meaningful as it was supposed to be, but a vintage Cutterella. Oh, cute Rella? You think if hippos could fly, they would be like a form of transportation? I would think that they shouldn't be a form of transportation, but that doesn't mean that I don't think humans would try. Hippos are really dangerous, aren't they? Trying to ride one probably wouldn't go over so well. It would take years and years of domestication to get them accustomed to humans. And should they be accustomed to humans? That's the question. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Let's get sewing these straps. Okay, 1 strap down. Then I have to turn these inside out, which I have to go get my handy dandy tool for that. Okay, I'm back. I also had to put deodorant on because woof. Hello? Where did you go? And we've got a strap. Strap number 2. So now that the straps are done, I do have to press these, but I think I'm going to sew the skirt and then attach it to the bodice. Yeah. Jane Austen in the TARDIS asked, do you think Frodo is getting a big head with his internet fame? For sure. Such a prima donna. I was on the phone with his agent. The way he marks his territory in the neighborhood has got like an air of, superiority. This will be worth money on eBay. You're welcome kind of vibe. It's my job to kind of, bring him back down to earth. It's a tough job, but someone's got to do it. So I'm going to do this in kind of a weird way. Instead of just gathering the skirt, and I'm going to do little pleats. Hopefully as evenly spaced out as I can eye it, just because I am lazy and I don't feel like gathering it. I think that should do. Okay, so what I just did was I basted on the straps. It's really kind of hard to tell, but I've taken the liner, put it on the front of the dress, and then when I sew this, turn this inside out, then the dress will have a nice lining on the inside. Here it is so far. I think it's so cute. My next step, this is almost done. I have to figure out this side zipper. So hopefully I can make that straight and not crooked because I am the worst with zippers. Wish me luck. That's it. They're done. I'm super excited. I am definitely gonna wear the heck out of both of these. I think this dress might actually be one of the favorite clothing items I've ever made, costume aside. I think it's really, really cute, even though the hem is a disaster, but that's fine. And then the vest is also super duper cute, and again, a really good layering item that I can kind of just wear on top of basically any of my outfits. I was worried that because it's like a corset top that the string would be kind of annoying to do every time you want to wear it, but it's not that bad. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how this format of Q&A plus sewing video is gonna go down. I don't know. I think for not feeling very creative this week, it was nice to actually still make something. That is it. I love you guys whether you're new or old to this channel. If you're new here and you feel like sticking around, feel free to subscribe. I upload every Friday and we have fun here. And I will see you in my next video. Bye! Are you sighing into my mic, sir? Can you not make your mouth noises right in the mic, or what? Oh, what is that? Is that cat hair? You and your sister are nasty. Yeah, you're gross. Hi. I decided my ultimate kryptonite is when dogs do this and look up at you. So cute. Hello? Grab your backpacks. Let's go. Jump in. Follow my nose. I definitely watched that show way later than I should have. Yeah, so we rewrite. What? There's something sticky at the bottom of this. It's sticking to everything. What do you slice? What do you slay? Maybe? Ugh. Okay. Recording, right?
It happens.
Come on over, baby.